So this is part 2. I'm going to try to go over this a little faster so I could get all this in a part 2 and not, extend it even more. So after my first MDS re-diagnosed me with just an assessment, she didn't even want my DAT scan results. She said I'd had it for over 10 years, started me on the, textbook meds for Parkinson's, and told me a few things. That's on the previous video. Anyhow, she wasn't wrong with anything. She had, promised me my life back, and she gave it to me back tenfold. At the next appointment, I think that's so March, May, I had the follow-up, and then I saw her again, I think in July. In July, she increased it to 1.5 tablets 5 times a day. During this time too, all my symptoms disappeared. I felt like I was 20 again, except for constipation and the dystonia where my toes were curling and my neck would sometimes seize up on this side. So she assessed me and she increased me in July to 1.5 tabs 5 times a day. And then by the end of August, this is still in 2023, at the end of August, I started coughing again. But I was working outside a lot, and the north wind had started shifting. It was becoming fall. And when that happens, I would cough more, like an allergy. Excuse me. Or if I was mowing the grass, that would, kick up some stuff. But anything that had to do with dust, because my lungs are weak. I've had pneumonia many times. So my cough was coming back, and then the pain. And I just talked I didn't even think that those could be my old symptoms. I just thought that I was overdoing it on the property, and I was just sore from the day before, moving this or doing that or pushing this or pulling that. And then my cough, I thought, allergies. But we went away that October, right before my next appointment with her, for 10 days up to Oklahoma, and I wasn't working hard on the farm, and I wasn't stirring up the dust, and I still was coughing, and I was still in pain. So that's when I figured that this is my old symptoms creeping back into my life because I wasn't on enough of the meds, and that she was going to increase it again. And sure enough, she did. I went there the middle of October, right after our trip, and told her that I felt like my symptoms were creeping back again. And she made me cry because I had forgotten one of my morning doses, and I admitted it right off the bat. And she rescheduled me for 2 weeks, and she said, take your freaking meds. I had just forgotten because I had charged my little watch that I had all my alarms on for all my meds. I had taken it off the night before and charged it and forgot to put it on the next morning, and I missed one of my dosages. And she goes, well, you're not even fully medicated now. I can't assess you, so you have to come back and reschedule. In 2 weeks, you have to come back. Well, at that same appointment, my husband threw me under the bus because I was talking about, well, they say that, supplements this or that and whatever. And my husband interrupted me with her and said, who are they? And I didn't understand the question. I said, MichaelJFoxFoundation.com. I don't know who they are, but he was implying the internet, Dr. Google. And oh my gosh, she lit into me, made me cry, was going to fire me. And then I was, crying so much that she says, I need a therapist, she's not that kind of doctor, but she's my doctor, and I don't need to be looking on Dr. Google. And oh my gosh. Yeah. So that was at that appointment. And then I come back 2 weeks later for my real assessment, and she's like my best friend. So in front of my husband, and not with the help of my husband throwing me under the bus with her, that appointment sucked. But the next one was great. and she assessed me, and she increased my dosages to 2 tablets 5 times a day. And that's the last time she increased it. And that's when and that's the second time she mentioned DBS as a thought. Like it had to come from me. It had to be my decision. I was getting that. I was understanding that. So that last increase, when I did do it fully, the first like probably half of that year, when I took it as prescribed, I don't remember the first half of that year being having dyskinesia, but I did have a lot of sleepiness, a ton. Like I'd take my pills first thing in the morning, I'd go right back to sleep. It would knock me out. And then during the day, if I was moving around, I could avoid that. But in the evening, same. At 6 o'clock, I took, or yeah, I think it was 6 o'clock, 6 or 5. Yeah, I would take that dose before my bedtime dose of Rytary, and I would be knocked out again. Or I'd start to get in the car and drive somewhere, and if it was over 30 minutes since I took my pill, I would get tired driving. So, she mentioned the DBS. So in June at my appointment, I mentioned the intermittent sleepiness, and she said that she thought it was low blood pressure, and to get a monitor and to check it when I'm having those. And sure enough, it was low blood pressure at peak dose of the carbidopa levodopa. It was at that appointment I was also wiggling because I took my full dose. I wasn't playing at quite yet with my medication, but I went to that appointment in June completely dyskinetic, mainly in my right or left shoulder and my torso, my whole like barrel. And that movement in my barrel with my spine full of arthritis was not fun. So when I was done with my appointment, I skipped my 6 p.m. dose because I had like at 5:30, I'd finally calmed down. It was like I was in Zumba class all day long that day, just to prove to her that these symptoms were happening and that it was possibly the time that she needed to really talk to me. But I wasn't like manipulating the situation. I was just thinking things to myself. So from then on out, that June through the rest of till October, I was playing with my medication daily to avoid the dyskinesia and the low blood pressure, especially if I had to drive somewhere. But then towards the end of the year, I was getting rides to my appointments because they're either San Antonio or Austin, and both of those are like 30 to 40 depending on, or an hour depending on traffic. I thought I was going to throw my back out when I was dyskinetic. So I usually, it was like a daily choice. Take all your meds and feel all wiggly and blood pressure and sleepy and awful because those are side effects, or go back to my old symptoms that I knew. And I mean, I lovingly named them Ralph back in the day. So Ralph was actually Parkinson's. We had talked on Facebook a lot about Ralph. And then when I got my diagnosis, I said, well, I just found out that Ralph is actually Parkinson's. And that surprised everybody, including me. So I was tweaking my meds. I was still very anxious and apprehensive about the surgery and talk about it. By November of 2024, end of that whole year of messing with my meds, something shifted in me. I was still apprehensive and anxious about, the surgery and stuff. But while at the gym one day, because I was going regularly, I listened to a YouTube that came up on my notifications, and it was it was set up like a conference, but a really small, intimate one. and it was an MDS talking about DBS surgery to a bunch of people and doing a Q&A at the end. I figured it would be, something that was just background noise in my headphones. And I figured that I had already heard it all. I already, listened to enough videos that he wouldn't tell me anything new that I didn't already, learn. But something about the way he said the things in there really got me like I think he said most people who have the DBS wish they would have done it sooner. And I had just wasted a whole year of playing with my meds because I was too afraid to say, okay, I'm ready. And the other thing, it was like they wish they wouldn't have waited. I can't remember the other one right now, but it really made me start thinking more about it. The way the doc talked to me. Oh, that was about the video. Anyhow, so from there forward, I was researching everything DBS because obviously I learned something in that video that came up on my feed and piqued my interest. I sent that video to everybody in the family, my husband overseas. I learned a few new things that made me more confident, but I was still spiraling, anxiousness and fear. I mean, literally so stressed out. It was so affecting me daily. I was so scared. I was spiraling. I was trying to find a different way to do it, even though I knew from the start that my first MDS was the best person. I mean, she knew, she was passionate about what she did, and she knew she was good at it. That's the kind of doctor you want to, because they don't want to fail, so that's the kind of doctor you would want if you had to go this direction with a brain surgery or any other type of, very invasive surgeries plural too. So anyhow, I was driving my family nuts, especially my husband, about this back and forth. I found a different doctor that will do all the surgeries at once, and I found another doctor that would keep me asleep for the whole thing. And anyhow, that went into November, I think, and I finally, it's okay. It's almost like I got mad at myself for not praying in the first place about it, but maybe it was just in his time. I was so stressed out, and all my pain and symptoms, it didn't matter if I was taking my pill or not, but I was still taking it, obviously, because I would have felt a lot worse. I prayed one night. My husband was not here. He was overseas. And I prayed that if this was the only choice I had, if this is the only direction I can choose to have a little piece of my life back or give me back to my family, because it was just taking hold of me again. But this time it was a different kind of anxiety. It was a fear of, getting my head drilled and whatnot. I know it's scary. I've already been there. Just don't let that fear stop you from your life. I don't want to say it's so dramatic. It's just, I prayed for peace. I just wanted peace over it. If this is the direction, Lord, my creator, Elohim, will you please give me peace in that decision? Or show me peace if that's the direction I need to go. And the next morning I woke up and I'm like, let's do this. No anxiety, no stress, no anxiousness, just same thing. No fear whatsoever. I was just I fully trust my doctor both of them. I started immediately on the all the pre-DBS surgery appointments that I had to go to. I had to meet the neurosurgeon. I had to go to a psych evaluation that took like half a day. Thank you, Wendy, for taking me to that one. I had to do an on-off test, completely off meds. And at that appointment, I told my doctor that I still believe that my cough is one of my symptoms. And when I go off medication and I'm coughing, I'm afraid that when I'm on the operating table, even though you're going to have my head strapped down and I can't move, I'm afraid I'll be coughing the whole time. So I had to have that test, and I mentioned that to her. And remember that, because when I get to the next video about my DBS surgeries, I probably won't do that the next video. It'll probably be the one after that. I still have a lot to tell you about my journey in the middle, the first 8 months, or 1 year and 8 months before my surgery. Just a few more things to fill in the middle. So my name is Kimberly Riggs, and I am uncut, unfiltered, unedited, because I don't know shit about YouTube. I just know how to make a video and upload it. No fancy stuff like click that link or this link, or I'll list stuff below. I don't really have a lot to list below. Thank you for listening, and I hope that my story put together makes sense, and I can help someone else make quicker decisions and not do what I did and make my disease and my Parkinson's worse or more progressed, because stress is our number one enemy. Thank you. And I will try and get out the rest of those videos filling in the middle before I get to my DBS stories, which are really good. So can't wait. Thank you so much for listening and spending your half an hour with me. This is part 2 of the other one. Thank you. Have a great week.